created a screen print of these 5 sons of mine? Yes. Mhm. Zachary Budnick, Bishop Thomas Budnick, Deacon King Budnick, Maximilian Johann Budnick? Yes. Benjamin Graham Budnick. Oh. As their father, I did not have reasonable notice and opportunity to be heard. Mhm. In 2015. Now, the Parental Kidnapping and Protection Act would make this an illegal custody of my sons. Yeah. And then you can see here the motion hearing. Yeah. No attempt of service from June 1st to June 12th. Yes. 2 attempts of service during this 50 days. Yes. You can only issue an ex parte emergency protection order one time. Now, this happened to be an illegal service because of the 50 days from June 12th to 2015. It actually says I wasn't served. Then you issued an order for protection and an order for weapon surrender. Yeah. Then you attempted service on somebody else on 8/18 of 2015, and then there's a return of service from somebody else on 8/27 of 2015. This abducting of children, um, there's a real problem with it because when you issued the dissolution of marriage, Judge Ken Williams, yes, on the 24th, and then I was alleged to have violated the protection order, yeah. And then I responded within the 89 days. The motion for default is indicative of a psychosis of parents that abduct children from parents. Yeah. Now, obviously, Mrs. Budnick didn't know her name was not Mrs. Hodges. But this order of default, yeah, it makes it look like you issued a default dissolution of marriage. Mm. Now, the petitioner known as Mrs. Budnick, yes, she didn't actually sign the court order. And this signature is not the same as the other signature. Yeah. Now, I asked a question about, well, why didn't you issue a warrant for the return of my sons? Some reason why you don't want to do that. You don't think in your minds that when my wife ran to Clallam County as a network of individuals that would support her, having married a man from this area, the Quilcene and Brennan, myself never having been married before. Judge Porter, did you not read the protection order? And then this allegation of the crime where there's no actual signed statement of the victim. When I wasn't in Sequim, Washington on that day of December 31st at 7:47 a.m., you could have gotten the bus surveillance camera footage that would have proved that I was in Port Angeles. Now, this child abduction where you continue to violate the laws of the United States, you can't use a traffic citation. Yes. No contact order, protection order violation. Officer Corey Hall, do you happen to know where my sons are at? Because I'm going to sue you for child abduction. Now, every time you've obstructed my rights after I've informed you of what the law says, it's called due process. It's in the Constitution. This modification, 300 feet from First Baptist Church, did they actually go to that church, or is that some random location? And I had never been in the Swim Boys and Girls Club. Yes. But did you intentionally modify the orders so as to ignore the requirements of the law so that you could help my wife abduct my sons? Did you do that? Are you wanting to help parents abduct children from parents? Was this really necessary? Did Pastor Greg Miller think I was going to go to church there? Now, I know that when you modify an order, the intent is to keep me from my sons. Yes. But what justification could you have had? Oh. You thought I was going to go to the Boys and Girls Club? Did you? You thought I was going to intentionally violate a protection order? Because you wanted to believe that I was mentally ill. But the court's record shows that the actual petitioner of the dissolution of marriage, yes, had me arrested 4 days after you issued it. 20 days after the allegation of violating the protection order. Now, we had known as a true threat, whereas you don't say that somebody violated a protection order on May 4th of 2012 and then spend 20 days getting all the necessary documentation. Now, as much as my wife dislikes me thinking that she's psychotic, I would say that when you spent 20 days, well, I called Healthy Families of Clown County on approximately May 4th of 2012. Yeah. Now, if I was really a domestic abuser and a child abuser, you would have arrested me that day. Pooch. They alleged that I was trying to contact her. I wasn't. They were the fiduciary, not-for-profit organization that had control of my 5 sons. I asked them if they got the documentation from Guam. I had a copy of the actual certificate of completing the 7 hours of parenting classes. Yes. Now, when you have me arrested 20 days later, the whole county's helping my wife abduct my sons. Could be Healthy Families of Clown County's getting sued for helping facilitate child abduction because you refuse to acknowledge my rights as a parent. Now, maybe Leslie Bond needs to real. Oh, well, you just thought that you would continue to violate the laws of the United States. You know, it's ridiculous to get arrested 20 days after the allegation of domestic violence and child abuse when you did know exactly where I lived at. Pooch. I lived in a fifth wheel behind Kingsway Foursquare Church. Sheriffs had went there numerous times. Yes, they did. I had been served the dissolution of marriage and arrested at the same time on, well, let's see here. It must have been Sheriff's return of service on May 31st of 2012. Yes. Mm-hmm. It was Memorial Day weekend. It was a Sunday at 7 p.m. Now, is the Sheriff's Department playing stupid again? You did know where I lived. Now, these 5 minors named? Yes. Exactly when are you going to enforce the Parental Kidnapping Protection Act, where you didn't give me any notice or opportunity to be heard in 2011? You fraudulently arrested me in 2012. You reissued the protection order without the actual requirements of the law in 2012. You modified the protection order so as to keep me from my sons without. Well, when's the county going to stop violating the laws of the United States?